Today, Tyron and I will be talking about the similarities and differences between Saddam Hussein, Iraq's former dictator, and Mao Zedong, China's former dictator, in their rise to power, consolidation of power, and lastly, the impact of their rule. First, their rise to power. Chairman Mao, as he was referred to in China at the time, and Saddam Hussein share many distinct similarities in their rise to political power and eventually dictatorship. Both were introduced to politics at a very young age. Mao, who took it upon himself to read up and study the political ideas of many world leaders when he was still barely a teenager, working on his father's farm. Mao soon declared himself a Marxist-Leninist after being inspired by the ideology. And Saddam, whose whole life revolved around politics from the very beginning, through his uncle, who was a member of the Ba'ath Party and who raised him from birth. Mao, at 28, was soon one of the founding members of the Chinese Communist Party, or CCP for short, while on the other hand, Saddam joined the Ba'ath Party aged just 20 years old. Over the next few years, both Mao and Saddam worked on strengthening their own parties, and Saddam also focused on rising up the ranks in the Ba'ath Party. Before long, with the help of some prominent events along the way, both men found themselves at the top of their respective countries. Next, we'll be talking about the consolidation of power of both Mao and Saddam Hussein. Both Mao and Saddam consolidated their power in strikingly similar ways, using means of terror as well as much propaganda in order to become the sole rulers of their own countries without facing much backlash or opposition. Mao Zedong purged large numbers of people of influence in China, including state officials and party members. He did this very publicly, by often even having public executions as well as labor camps scattered throughout the country, in order to instill a sense of fear in the general public. Saddam Hussein, on the other hand, also instilled a sense of fear in the population, as soon after he came into power as the president of Iraq. He organized a very publicly advertised meeting of the leading members of his party, and called the names of over 60 senior party members whom he believed were part of a conspiracy. These members were taken away by guards to their almost certain death. This purge was made very public and was common knowledge among the public in Iraq.
During their rule, both Mao Zedong and Saddam Hussein made a huge impact on millions of lives. Although it was not their original intention in the plan to bring the country forward, the similarity between them is that a lot of people did die during their rule. The death toll during Saddam's rule was an estimated 1 million Iranians and 250,000 to 500,000 Iraqis in the First War, and Iraqi deaths ranged from 60,000 to 200,000 in the Second War. The death toll during Mao Zedong's rule was at least 45 million people from 1958 to 1962. However, the reasons why so many lives were lost differed. Saddam had started 2 wars during his rule that are the causes for the huge death toll. The first war started on September 22, 1980, whereby Saddam ordered Iraqi forces to invade the oil-rich region of Khuzestan in Iran. In 1979, there was a successful Islamic revolution in Iraq's neighbor Iran. Since Saddam was mainly supported by Iraq's minority, the Sunni population, he was worried that developments in the Shiite majority Iran could lead to a similar uprising in Iraq. This led into an all-out war that went on for 8 years. On August 20th, 1988, after years of intense conflict that left hundreds of thousands dead on both sides, a ceasefire agreement was finally reached. At the end of the 1980s, Saddam turned his attention towards Iraq's wealthy neighbor Kuwait. It was done to revitalize Iraq's war-ravaged economy and infrastructure. On August 2, 1990, Saddam ordered the invasion of Kuwait, which started the Gulf War. Going into wars, Saddam would have expected lots of deaths, but he still went ahead with it. On the other hand, Mao Zedong was not planning for what happened to happen at all. Unlike Saddam, his plan, Great Leap Forward, which he launched in January 1958, was to increase agriculture and industrial production, but backfired completely on him. Mao believed that he could make a century's worth of advancement in a few decades in both agricultural and industrial production. When the plan launched, there were reports of huge advancements. However, there were years of floods and bad harvests, so the agricultural production did not meet his expectations at all. Within a year, a famine set in, and entire villages died of starvation. He created the worst man-made famine in human history. Thank you for watching.
Created using Powtoon.